Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got some selections for tomorrow. Good news is we've just had our first winner with Lowry's Bar. Hopefully we can have a couple more winners later today. But I'm looking at tomorrow. Now I'm actually going to split this video up into two videos because I like some now that have already been priced up, and I like a few others that haven't been priced up yet. Obviously, if they price them up at too short, I won't be interested. But I don't think any of them are going to be that short, to be honest, looking at their current form line. So sometimes you can get a rough idea as to what sort of price they might be based on their form. And if they've got really poor form, but you can understand why, then the bookmakers price it up on that. They don't price up on... They very rarely price up on, like, actually he's been running over the wrong trip or the wrong course, or he's now over fences, he was over hurdles, he's going to be a much better chaser, etc. So we can get a rough idea anyway, but hopefully we can have a few winners in both the videos. So we'll start off looking at the 115 at Sandown. Now, the horse I like here is this one here, West of the Bridge. Now, normally this type of race, I don't like to get involved in a Pertemps qualifier because horses are laid out for the Pertemps final. And I'm hoping that we're kind of going to be backing here the horse that I don't think is going to be laid out for the Pertemps final, whereas many of the others could well be. There's quite a few of them that haven't run for a little while. We can have a look here. Dubrovnik Harry, 308 days, 229 for Grozny, 240, 125, 281 and 225. So that only leaves, what, 4 horses that are actually fit. Now, Authorised Art looks a bit high in the handicap, I feel, of 139. I imagine that they might try and get him to run a place and then go back to the Pertemps final. Obviously, they need to finish in the top 4. Henri II isn't particularly reliable. I'm not a massive fan of him. He's a good horse, but you know, even just a few runs ago, he was running in the Premier Handicap final, pulling up at 13-2 here at Sandown. Now, the only thing about that is he's then missed a long time, 246 days, 364 days. There's clearly issues with him, so I'm gonna be happy to take him out of my equations. Ike Sport, I just don't think is good enough. Doesn't look particularly well handicapped. Yeah, doesn't really shout that this is what he wants. I think he's been over fences and they're dropping back to hurdles. It hasn't really worked in any of the spheres, really. So I'm kind of left with West of the Bridge. However, I also think he has a fantastic chance. For a few reasons. He's got Sandown form. He has won it before. He beat Bull Barley here off a mark of 132, and he won by 19 lengths when it was soft ground that day. 19 lengths as a 10-year-old. So it's not that he's, you know, way past it, and he's only 11 now. So this was only March 2023. It wasn't that long ago. That came off a mark of 132. He runs here off 131. He was also a very eye-catching third last time out, behind Might Eye and Aston Martini. And you'll know I like that form. I think that form is going to work out well. When Aston Martini goes back up and trip, I thought Might Eye was incredibly well handicapped that day. And West of the Bridge just needed a bit further, because that was over 2 mile 3. He's had been dropped in trip, but he's been as far as 3 mile 2 before. And as I said, when he won at Sandown, he was winning over 2.5. This is a bit further, but he is a bit older again, and yeah, I don't think the trip's going to be the issue. He likes soft ground. He's certainly proven himself before on it. When he was beating Bull Barley, as I said, it was soft ground. I think there's so many positives about him. Well, I think there's enough positives and enough negatives about the others that I think West of the Bridge will be trying to win here as well. Being an 11-year-old, they're not going to go, oh, we've got a Pertemps final horse here, let's get him well handicapped. That is a waste of a season for a horse aged 11. You've got to be trying to win races, and I think they're coming here trying to win this race. And he is currently available at, so we do have prices about that one, so that's why it's a race that I'm interested in. He's currently available at 4s. I think he is the one to beat. Henri II, I think, is probably the danger. He is now being backed into second favourite. Just his lack of being able to string runs together is the concern for Henri II. Clearly has issues. Probably wouldn't run if it got too soft because of those issues. But west of the bridge, I think is definitely going to run. He likes the ground. He likes the course. He ran a really good race last time out. He's won over 2.5 off a £1 higher mark when he was 10. So I see no reason why he can't go and win again when he's 11. So that's my first selection of the day. Moving on to the 137 at Chepstow. Who do I like here? It is Brave Kingdom. Now, I think Paul Nicholls has a really interesting hand here. I think he's got two runners that, if they were both fit, I think they would both play massive parts in this race. And I kind of feel that they're both running here with the Welsh National in mind as well. Both of them are entered. But Freddie Ginger actually rides this course pretty well. And I think Brave Kingdom's probably at this stage of their careers the most progressive. Gelino Bello hasn't run for 679 days. He's definitely going to need the run. Whereas I'm not as negative on the chances or the reliance of needing the run for Brave Kingdom, despite not having run for 294 days. He does do pretty well coming back. He won at Chepstow in November 2021 after 248 days off the track. He actually won at Fontwell after 379 days off the track. He's going to Plumpton. He went to Plumpton in November 23 after 690 days off the track and won. He's generally pretty good on his first run back after long layoffs. And if anything, maybe that Ascot race was too quick. He'd only had 59 days off the track after 2 wins. Maybe he couldn't string the 3 together. But to be fair, that was a grade 2. I don't think it was the strongest of grade 2s, but he went off 3-1 that day. He was expected to go much closer, and actually get involved in a grade 2. This is in a handicap. He dropped £1 for that. Freddie also takes a very useful £3 off. He's only running off 134. I'm sure they'll have been, they would have been thinking they've got a horse better than a 134 horse. Especially when they then entered him in a graded race. And yeah, the fact that the layoff doesn't really bother me, or doesn't seem to bother the horse. He does well off long layoffs. He is the one to beat for me at Chepstow in the Welsh National Trial, and he is getting backed accordingly. Currently, well, they've only one place has priced him up at 11-4. What did they open? Let's just have a look. They did open at 100-30. He's now 11-4. I imagine we'll get that about pretty much the same across the board. So keep an eye out for when other bookmakers, if you don't have a William Hill account, price up Brave Kingdom. Moving on to the Beecher Chase. If you've been following my videos, you'll know who I've done in the Beecher Chase. I'll very quickly mention it. Gaborio will really appreciate the step up in trip. I think he'll really, that's getting him back to a trip that actually suits him, whereas the 2 mile 5 really didn't. It suited King Turgeon a lot more. The defection of Cocoa Beach means he's not as far out the handicap. I'm quite happy with Gaborio. I think he will run a really nice race. Just clearly lacked for pace and has obviously got fitness on his side now compared to last time, whereas King Turgeon had already had the run. Now Gaborio has had that fitness run as well. We were on at 11-2. Let's have a look to see what price he is now. 7-2, a short 7-2, 4-1 available. I still think that's an okay price. That's Gaborio. 225 at Sandown. Now we go back to Sandown. Obviously, I'm talking about all of these. Sandown and Aintree could well be off yet. It'd be a bit frustrating, doing all these videos and whatever, and for them to then be cancelled. And we could also find that horses don't run because it gets soft heavy if they do manage to get the races on. 225 at Sandown. Who do I like here? Another horse that hasn't run for a while. Knickerbocker Glory. Now let's have a look at Knickerbocker Glory. What current price can you get about Knickerbocker Glory? Obviously the non-runner of Cabral de Matan has meant the prices are nowhere near what they were. I was quite happy with Knickerbocker Glory at about 8s and 10s. He's still about the right price after Cabral de Matan has come out. I think he will beat Will Mount. I think he's very good. I think he likes here. Let's just go through some of his form. So, long layoff, 251 days off the track. Is that anything to worry about? Not in my opinion. He finished, he won a race off 70 days. He finished 4th at Wetherby of 281 days. He then won off 51 days, won off 50 days, won a race off 198 days, second off 108 days at Sandown behind Isio, and then in November 2023 he won at Ascot, beating Altobelli, 204 days off the track. So I don't think that long layoff is an issue. Comes back to Sandown, which I like. He, as I said, his second behind Isio is very strong form. That came off a mark of 129. He runs here off 132. No, not an issue at all. Harry Skelton rides. Harry's actually not ridden him since finishing second on him way back in November 2022. The horse has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runs since then, all with different jockeys on. Harry rides. I think they're going, we'll try and win that race. And I think they will. I've not been disappointed with a lot of his runs recently. 5th to Godante in an Imperial Cup off 135. Did nothing wrong with that really. Godante, Favois. It was a very, very competitive handicap hurdle. 6th in a Betfair hurdle. Again, pretty good. Iberica Lord, Loda Sud, Godante, Doddy the Great, Favois. Really competitive. And I actually kind of feel they might have been trying to set it up for Loda Sud that day. Comes back to Sandown, which I think is key. His second to Isio was a huge effort of 129 under Bridget. That came off heavy going as well. So if it does come up heavy, there's no negatives about the ground. And if it goes worse than heavy and they don't run, then it doesn't matter, does it? So yeah, I think Knickerbocker Glory is the one here. I think Wheelmount will probably be looked after, whereas Knickerbocker Glory will be here to try and win this race because he's 8. There's not a lot of progression in the horse, whereas there could be with Wheelmount. But I imagine that even if the ground, is really soft or heavy, then they'll probably go, we're not going to waste him, so to speak, because the only poor run he's actually had came on soft. In the Challow previously, before that it was good to soft, good to soft, and soft in a point to point. So they may even say that the soft heavy is too soft for him and take him out. They take him out, then there's nothing progressive in the race. It's all about who's the best horse or the best handicapped, and I would probably suggest that is Knickerbocker Glory. And he is currently available at 7-2, and yeah, I can see Wheelmount being taken out of that race. Down at Sandown for the London National. This is the last one in this video. So what's that? There's 5 in this video. Last one in this video. Who do I like here? I can't get away from Montgomery. Is being supported. Now 5's top price. Don't totally get Mr. Bango. I wasn't impressed with his run in the Scottish National. And I'm sure they came out and said that the ground was... Didn't they say it was too soft? I'm just going to have a look on my other screen what they put about him. Mr. Van Gogh. Or did he want it softer? I would prefer a slower surface. Okay, so Mr. Van Gogh could certainly bounce back. Montgomery, though. Venetia Williams, in a race like this, soft, heavy going. He gets his ground. He had one disappointing run last time. That was at Ayr in the Novices Champion handicap, where the trainer couldn't offer an explanation for the poor form. So they were disappointed with his effort. He finished 9th, I think, in a better race than this. If he stays the trip, Montgomery is the one, I think, here. I think he will stay the trip. They went up quickly last year to 3 mile. Having been running over 2.5. He's very lightly raced. He's got a good record, a good strike rate. His only disappointing run came in a very good race. I think a better race than this. I imagine he'll be ridden relatively prominently. I think it'd be quite forward, despite not necessarily knowing whether they stay the trip. But I think he'll be up there, allowed to jump along, and the Venetia Williams angle just really... All of her horses, I don't know where they train. Does she train in a bog or something? She must train in the swamp, because as soon as it becomes soft heavy, their horses just seem to run so much better, or just massively improve. So they run well on other goings, but as soon as it becomes soft and heavy, so many horses don't get home, and Venetia Williams horses just still do. And yeah, I can't get away from Montgomery here in the London National. So they are my 5 for the first video. Let's just go back through them quickly. West of the Bridge, I think is being, I think they're trying. There's no point trying to get this horse handicapped for the Temps final. His last time out effort was a good effort. Third behind Might Eye and Aston Martini. Plenty of the others, I think, will be looking after themselves with the Temps final in mind. Brave Kingdom, Freddie Ginger taking that £3 off is very useful. The horse does do well after a layoff. And I think he's probably the most progressive horse in this race. Do they want to actually go for the Welsh National? I'm not sure. They might win this and go, we're not going to waste him in a Grand National, and we'll go back to graded company. He is currently available at 11 to 4, but we need to see a few other bookmakers price up that as well. Gaborio in the Beecher, you know all about that one. Knickerbocker Glory, again, doesn't mind the layoff, has good form, really competitive handicaps last year. The soft ground isn't an issue. Only one disappointing run, that was last time out, but I think he'll bounce back from that. And finally, Montgomery, the Venetia Williams angle, on that soft heavy going, and only had the one disappointing run in a better race than this, in my opinion. All of that being said, we could well see Aintree and or Sandown abandoned, so we might lose some of these anyway. But that is video 1. Video 2 will be later today.